Welcome to the road to 1 million US dollars. First of all, thank you very much for 2,000 subscribers. And right now, let's get right into the Bitcoin chart for today. First of all, looking at the support and resistance for Bitcoin on the 4-hour time frame. Yesterday, we blasted through this level of previous resistance, now flipped into support. And this is a big support level now, sitting from $70,000 all the way down to 68.5K. So potentially you could see a bounce from there. Although in the case that we do trade lower than that 68.5K level, in that case, we might get some short-term support right here at 67.3K. However, if we do trade below that level, then the next price target you should be looking out for is actually this big level of support right here from 66,000 all the way down to 65,000 US dollars. Although if we do just trade to the upside from here, then we will run into this level of resistance once again, which is sitting from 71,000 US dollars all the way up to 73,000 US dollars for the Bitcoin price. And now taking a look at the Fibonacci levels for Bitcoin as we speak, what we can see is that right now in the immediate short term, Bitcoin is actually trading right on that 0.786 Fibonacci level, which is sitting at 70.1K. So ideally what you want to see is that we get a daily close above that level, is because you would have seen a breakout, then a retest, and therefore likely a resumption from there to that next Fibonacci level, or at least back to this previous high. Though in the case that we do close below that level, well, then the next big Fibonacci level of support below that is the 0.618 Fibonacci level, which is sitting at 67.2K. Although it doesn't have to be the case that Bitcoin just immediately trades down to this level, because of course, like I was just talking about, there are support levels in between the current price and this Fibonacci level right here. And if we do get that resumption, well, in that case, the next Fibonacci level to the upside is actually the previous all-time high at about 73.8K. So besides a daily close above this Fibonacci level, what you also need to look out for is actually this RSI momentum indicator. Because what you can see right here is that we reached deep into overbought territories, reaching all the way up to 81. And as you know, if you watch my videos regularly, whenever the RSI is in overbought territories, typically there is limited room to the upside. And usually what you'll see is that the RSI first needs to reset a little bit. For example, what you saw right here, reaching into overbought territory and then resetting back down to around that 50 level before then making its next move. And the way the RSI actually resets is either by the price just trading sideways or potentially getting some bearish momentum. So when you see the price trade sideways, in that case, the RSI resets back to around this 50 level, because 50 means that there is neutral momentum in the market, meaning we are trading sideways. And in the case that we get some bearish momentum, then you will see the RSI reset down more quickly and potentially even go below this 50 level, because when we are below the 50 level, we are actually experiencing some bearish momentum. Now, in yesterday's video, I called out this ascending triangle pattern, which did break out to the upside and in fact went way further than the price target actually indicated. But I, of course, opened a trade as soon as I saw this breakout pattern, which actually led to a 264% gain using 135x leverage. So that was a pretty crazy trade. And I trade on MEXC, where you can get very high leverage, up to 200x leverage with very low fees. So if that is something you're interested in and you want to trade with high leverage like me, well, then I recommend you go to the description of the video you're watching right now and register for MEXC right here using this link, because in that case, you can claim a deposit bonus up to $1,000, depending on how much you deposit and how much you trade. But you can already claim a nice bonus when you deposit at least $100. However, in the case that you cannot KYC, because that is required on MEXC, then you should register for Blowfin, which I am now officially partnered with. And Blowfin was actually kind enough to share some extra deposit bonuses with the Road to 1 Million community. So if you register with this link in the description right here within the next 7 days, you can actually claim these bonuses right here, depending on how much you deposit. So I highly recommend you go check this out. You can get up to 150x leverage on Blowfin, with, again, very low fees. So go check out these exchanges to claim those bonuses. Now taking a look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map on the 24-hour time frame. And in the case that you're not familiar with this chart, all you really need to know is that typically the Bitcoin price gets attracted to where there is most liquidity on this chart, where in this case we had some liquidity at 70.7K. However, on this move to the downside, we already took out this level of liquidity, meaning that right now in the immediate short term, most of the liquidity is in fact to the upside, sitting at about 72,000 US dollars. So potentially the price could get attracted to this level to take out that level of liquidity. However, zooming out to the 3-day time frame, we actually have some liquidity to the upside and to the downside, with liquidity as low as about 66,000 US dollars, which also corresponds to that level of support between 66 and 65K that I was talking about earlier. So if we do get a further pullback, we will just sweep this liquidity to the downside and potentially get a bounce from that level of support. Moving on to the Bitcoin ETF inflows, we can see that on Monday we had yet another massive inflow from these Bitcoin ETFs, with on Monday alone $237 million worth of Bitcoin being bought. And so far over the last 6 weekdays, we have had massive inflows every single weekday. So if this trend does continue, then likely the price will go much, much higher from here. Because with hundreds of millions of dollars worth of Bitcoin being bought every single weekday, there simply is not enough supply to keep the price down. And at the same time, we also had the Grayscale Bitcoin ETF, usually selling $200 million worth of Bitcoin every single weekday. However, recently, the Grayscale Bitcoin ETF investors actually flipped and are now often actually net buyers instead of net sellers. So therefore, it has completely left the door open for these other ETFs to buy Bitcoin and actually push up the price much higher. Now moving on to Ethereum, which got rejected from the 0.786 Fibonacci level a couple of weeks ago at $4,000, after which it traded all the way to the 0.5 Fibonacci level at 2864. However, with this very bullish Ethereum ETF news coming out yesterday, it has absolutely skyrocketed the price. I think Ethereum went up 20% in a single day, blasting through this 0.618 Fibonacci level, which has been completely crazy. So right now, the next Fibonacci level above for Ethereum is the 0.786 Fibonacci level at $4,000. So this could be a major level of resistance. And moving on to this falling wedge pattern. Over the last weeks, I have been saying this falling wedge pattern is more likely to break out to the upside, which it then did a couple of days ago. And I've been talking about this every single day, guys, just calling out this pattern over and over again. And what did we see? We got a massive bump to the upside. So if you took this trade to the upside, you probably made some good money on that trade. So let me know in the comments if you actually took it. Either way, moving on to the support and resistance levels for Ethereum. Let's take a look at the 4-hour time frame actually, because what we can see right here is that, of course, we blasted through these 2 levels of resistance because of that very bullish Ethereum ETF news. However, what we then saw is when we traded above that level, we immediately reached into this level of resistance above, which was to be expected. However, Ethereum is right now just kind of chopping around in this level and potentially could get a rejection from there as well. Because not only is Ethereum in a big level of resistance, which by the way is sitting from $3,750 all the way up to $3,800 for the price of Ethereum, but at the same time, Ethereum is in massively overbought territories on the 4-hour time frame, reaching all the way up to 90 on the RSI momentum indicator. It would not be crazy to expect that the RSI needs to reset at least a little bit, potentially back to around this 50 level. Although if we do just get another massive inflow into the Bitcoin ETFs and Bitcoin just pumping hard tomorrow, well, in that case, maybe Ethereum won't have to reset to that 50 level and could start climbing up again earlier than that. But you must just be aware that Ethereum is in deep overbought territory. So longing here is probably quite risky. So yes, maybe Ethereum does go up. And if you do actually see it break this level of resistance, in that case, it is likely that we actually go up to the next level of resistance above that, which I will get to in a second here. However, you must also think about the risk to reward, because with the RSI in deep overbought territory, usually there's limited room to the upside, and therefore going long here is just a little bit more risky than it usually is if the RSI is not in deep overbought territory. Either way, as this price action has demonstrated, things can get really crazy if you just have very bullish news. So in the case that you do see the Ethereum price trade above that 3,800 US dollar level, likely it will go to the next big level of resistance above that, which is the 0.786 Fibonacci level sitting at $4,005, which also corresponds to this big level of resistance, which is sitting from $4,000 all the way up to $4,100 for the price of Ethereum. Now taking a look at Solana on this 4-hour time frame, and what we can see in this Fibonacci retracement level is that we didn't quite reach up to this 0.786 Fibonacci level. We actually got a bit of a rejection before that, and the 0.618 Fibonacci level currently for this Fibonacci retracement is sitting at $174. So ideally, you would see a daily close above this level, because then on the daily time frame, you again have a breakout, then potentially, for example, a retest, and then likely a resumption from there, going up to that 0.786 Fibonacci level. But of course, there are some key support and resistance levels that we must keep in mind here. So taking a look at that on the 4-hour time frame is that Solana perfectly got rejected from this big level of resistance, which is sitting from 187 all the way up to $192. So we got that rejection and right now fell right into this level of support, which is sitting from $181 all the way down to $176 for the price of Solana, where we are now finding a little bit of support. But if you do see Solana trade below this level right here, well, in that case, it is likely that we actually go to the next support level below that, which is sitting from 172 all the way down to $167 for the price of Solana. So those are just some things to keep in mind. Though if we do have another crazy bullish day, usually I wouldn't be talking about this, but the price action recently has been absurd to say the least. So if you do see Solana trade above the $192 level, well, it will likely go up to the next big level of resistance above that, which is sitting from 198 all the way up to $208. Now, if you are new here and haven't joined my crypto community yet, I highly recommend you actually join it quite soon here, because as you can see, I'm giving out a very early roll to the first 500 members. And currently, as of the time of recording, there are 470 members inside the Discord server. So therefore, there are only 30 spots left for people to get this roll. So I highly recommend you actually join the server, because I actually make real-time call-outs in this technical analysis channel. So sometimes I record a video, but by the time I actually post it, some of the things I was talking about already played out. However, I always call it out inside this Discord server. So there are some major benefits to actually being a part of this community. Either way, I do want to thank you one last time for 2K subscribers. I started this channel 3 months ago, so it has been a crazy journey. And yeah, I just want to say I'm very grateful for everyone subscribing and engaging with the videos, stuff like that, all the nice comments. So thank you for that. This has been today's market update. Thank you very much for watching once again, and I will see you tomorrow in the next one.